Hi everyone, and welcome again to my audiovisual channel. My name is Gabriela Handal, and I am a draftsman, and today I continue to talk to you about the fourth of Denis Dutton's cluster criteria for art. I'm going to read the corresponding excerpt and then muse about it a little bit. If you'd like to support my audiovisual channel, you can do so by liking and sharing this video, and also by subscribing. These are all immediate and at no additional cost to you. If you'd like to support what I do with money, it's also very welcome and appreciated. You can do so by purchasing my drawings directly from my website, which is gabrielahandal.com, just one word. You can purchase crafts I make from eBay, buy prints of my drawings, or leaving me a tip. Thank you for your time and attention, and let's just get on with it. Okay, so the fourth cluster criteria for art according to Denis Dutton is novelty and creativity. And I'm going to review real quick the cluster of criteria for art. Number 1 is direct pleasure. Number 2, skill and virtuosity. Number 3, style. Number 4, novelty and creativity. Number 5, criticism. Number 6, representation. Number 7, special focus. Number 8, expressive individuality. Number 9, emotional saturation. Number 10, intellectual challenge. Number 11, art traditions and institutions. Number 12, imaginative experience. Okay. Okay, so novelty and creativity says as follows, quote, "Art is valued and praised for its novelty, creativity, originality, and capacity to surprise its audience. Creativity includes both the attention-grabbing function of art, a major component of its entertainment value, and the artist's perhaps less jolting capacity to explore the deeper possibilities of a medium or theme. Though these kinds of creativity overlap, the Rite of Spring is creative most strikingly in the first sense, Pride and Prejudice in the second. The unpredictability of creative art, its newness, plays against the predictability of conventional style or normal style. In parentheses, sonata, novel, tragedy, and so forth. Close parentheses. Creativity and novelty are a locus of individuality or genius in art, referring to that aspect of art that is not governed by rules or routines. Imaginative talent is graded in art according to its ability to display creativity. In parentheses, creativity is called for and admired in countless other areas of life. We admire creative solutions to problems in dentistry and plumbing as well as the arts. The persistent pursuit of creativity shows itself, for example, in the reluctance of careful writers to use the same word a second time in a sentence where synonyms are available. The thesaurus exists less for the greater precision in writing than for the sake of pleasurable creative variety." Close parenthesis and end quote. Yes. I feel like this novelty and creativity has some kind of overlap with style, or what I think of as style, because as I was saying for the episode on style, it seems like he refers to style as like a basis upon which an artist can then spin off of. You know, an artist starts with somebody else's style basically, and then they find their own style. So I think there's a degree of that here, where then the part of spinning off into one's own style is the novelty and creativity part. And it also reminds me of the iterative nature of things, of all things. Because I'm pretty sure, or I feel as though I mentioned it in one of the previous episodes, that each time that we repeat something, each time that we do something again, the newest repetition is a little bit different from the previous one. And so that is also novel, meaning that it's new, because it's not a complete copy. It's not a complete reproduction of the previous thing that we are referencing. So I'm not sure. I mean, I have mixed feelings about this part where he mentions the attention-grabbing function of art, and the capacity to surprise. I think those two things are a little bit, they have overlap with things that I don't like, which have to do with the modernist spin on art, which is to just always shock. And not that attention grabbing and surprise is always shocking, but that's what I mean, that there's that overlap that I don't like with that. Because although I think it can be argued that the fountain and all these things, of course they happened for a reason, and that, it is what allows all artists the freedom that we all have right now to do whatever we want, and then sell it and make a career out of making whatever we want and selling it. At the same time, I feel like there's an ilk of people, I suppose, who call themselves artists, whose work relies exclusively on shocking and surprising and attention grabbing, attention seeking. That is not, I don't think, is what Denis Dutton is talking about here. Because once you kind of experience the shock, you're basically probably not going to be shocked by the same thing again. So then the artist who shocked you a first time, and the artist is like, oh my god, that worked with a lot of people, it's like, now I have to come with another shocking thing, or another shocking thing, or an even more shocking thing, which is, it's like, that also, in my opinion, is not an element of art. I kind of think of what Denis Dutton is talking about here as something more subdued and a little bit more meaningful, because it isn't like, surprise scare, jump scare, like in the subpar scary movies, that they're scary because of all the jump scares, kind of. That's not exactly the same as being terrified, it's not the same. That's like cheap fear, rather than actually kind of inducing fear on people, on a viewer of a movie with a good story, an actually scary story. It's different. So I think what he's talking about here is rather more like the ingeniousness required to do something that has been done lots of times, but doing it in a refreshing way. And I actually talked about something like this, or, what is sometimes a problem, this is sometimes a problem, with Peter Drake, the provost of the New York Academy of Art. He was in a previous episode of A Conversation About Art. And, there are things that have been done so very many times that it's very difficult to find a way to do them in a refreshing way. So in a novel and creative way. So if you think about landscape paintings, sunset paintings, it's like, of course it's possible to do them in a novel and creative way. I would have to practice a lot making the regular sunset paintings lots of times, probably, in order to then find that which would be refreshing. In order to find a sunset painting that would be refreshing. So I think both of these characteristics, that both of these aspects that he's talking about. So the novelty is the new thing that the artist made that is slightly different from whatever existed before. And it's novel because it's a new one. The previous one is this new one is not exactly the same as the previous one, even if it's just a handful of little changes. But if they're ingenious, or if they're different enough, it's new. And the creativity required to come up with this new thing that is also refreshing. Okay? And I feel as though there's actually a little bit of that whole AI art generator things, like in a parenthesis, I guess, kind of similar to the ones that Denis Dutton does here. The AI doesn't reproduce things. It does what we do when we're iterating something again. So it's not... it's like making a master copy versus referencing the whatever painting of the master. So both the AI and us references whatever original reference we're referencing, and we make little changes to it, and then that is a new image. So I think, I guess I should stick much more to, us humans doing the thing, but it reminded me a little bit of the AI stuff, because it gets accused a lot of stealing, and it's not stealing. Because what it's doing is referencing work in order to produce new work. Or, referencing images in order to produce a new image. So... I guess there's also the difference between... he makes a difference here between striking creativity, the attention-grabbing part, and then the less jolting capacity to explore the deeper possibilities of a medium or a theme. And he uses The Rite of Spring as the shocking attention-grabbing one. I don't know what that is. Versus Pride and Prejudice, which I have read, by Jane Austen. And, she was, famous for just writing these stories about really quote-unquote normal stuff, just like her everyday life, but then the stories are very enjoyable to read. They're fun, they're funny, they're romantic, they're very rich in their detail, or just in the information provided about the interaction between people at that time. It's funny, it's witty, it's the jargon, the language, the way she refers to her characters by Mr. and Mrs., Miss, this type of stuff. So I guess that's kind of generally more subdued in the sense that maybe it takes a little longer for it to convey its creativity versus what example of a more attention-grabbing art? I guess I just don't necessarily care for I was going to say attention-seeking, but attention-seeking is definitely different from attention-grabbing. I guess attention-grabbing is more like something, when something you see makes you do a double take, because it caught your eye, and you want to look at it more. So I can't think of a work in particular like that, but I can see a person wanting their work to do that to a viewer, because then that can be a conduit to the latter of to what I was talking about before, where it's like you just have to be over here, which is the attention grabbing. You grab their attention, and then the work can tell the person that deeper, more meaningful message that the artist wants to give, something like that. Yes. So I think that's about it for this one. Why don't you let me know your opinion on this? What do you think? What do you think he means by the attention-grabbing function of art? because he also says a major component of its entertainment value. I mean, do you think art has to be shocking or not? Do you think art being shocking is like a cheap trick used by the artist, the person who calls themselves an artist? What is the rite of spring? I don't know what that is. If you know, okay, I think I'm going to leave it there. And I would like to know what you think about this. Okay. So, yes, I'm going to leave it here. And thank you, everyone, for your time. I am excited to read any and all comments regarding this. And thank you again for watching. And I hope you're enjoying this series. Let me know if you're enjoying the series. Or, you know, if you hate it, I think I want to finish it anyway. Because it's a little... kind of mental development for me, you know, like I can think about something a little bit more. Sometimes talking it out helps a lot. So, all right. Thanks again, and thanks everyone for watching, and have a great day.